Well, hello there, and you join us here today to gather around the crystal ball because today we're going to be talking Rolex 2023 predictions. Here we go. Tom, you might remember from last year when we did some Rolex predictions and we got most things incredibly wrong. In fact, I think the only thing that we got right was recognising that the reflection of the GMT Master 2 in green and black was indicating it was a left-handed model. Everything else, I think we weren't even throwing the dart at the dartboard, we were just throwing them into our own feet.
Yeah, I think all of our predictions last year aged like a fine milk. And I think that's probably going to be the case again this year, isn't it? In fact, I'm going to reiterate my predictions from last year, and I hope that they might happen this year.
Doubling down. This is the gambler's fallacy in action right here. Let's do it. So we're going to make some predictions that you, dear viewer and listener, will be able to go and see for yourself whether we got them right or not at Watches and Wonders this year, because this year, for the first time ever, there's actually going to be some public days too, from Saturday, April 1st to Sunday, April the 2nd. Tom, it has been 70 whole years since the Rolex Explorer and the Rolex Submariner came to be, and not only that, it's been a whole 60 years since the Rolex Daytona came to be. I imagine that there is probably going to be some hoo-ha about that, because second to Omega, Rolex is pretty fond of memorialising things that have happened in the past. We've seen it with a platinum Daytona with a lovely, lovely icy blue dial before. We've seen it with other things that I have forgotten because they're too bland. But let's think about what's going to happen this year with regards to those things.
Yeah, so as I just said, I'm just going to start by repeating a prediction I had last year, and that is red. Last year I predicted that red was going to be a big deal across the board for watches and colourways, but everyone went with green instead. But I think this year's the year for red. So what I said was a red sub. We've got the green and black sub, and we've got the blue and black sub as well, and I think a red would sit really nicely alongside those two. You get a nice RGB colourway offering for your Submariners. So I don't know why they haven't done that yet. I think that could be a thing. And another thing, last year I also predicted that we might see a return of the GMT red and black bezel, the Coke. That didn't show up. Instead we got a green and black, which people were referring to as the Flanders because of its left-handedness. So we've got the Batman, the blue and black, the Flanders, the green and black. I think we can get a Coke in there, and that would be red and black. And again, you'd get that nice RGB colourway. They'd all sit really nicely alongside one another. The only thing is one thing that irks me about the new green sub is the left-handedness of it. So you've got the crown on the left-hand side. It doesn't really sit well alongside any of Rolex's watches. It's this odd one out. So I'm thinking for the red one, they could put the crown on top, sort of like a bullhead thing. And that way you'd have the green on the left, the blue on the right, and then the red with the crown on top. And that'd look really nice, like a sort of triangle of true GMTs there.
Yeah, the Coke GMT has been on people's wish list for a very long time, which is all the more reason to expect that they won't make one. I wonder if 1955, I think, was when the GMT was made, so I wonder if they will dig out the Coke for then.
Right.
Here's what I think, Tom.
Go on.
I've been tracking the movements of Tudor for a while, and it seems to be that it often predicts the future of what Rolex is going to do. We saw titanium used extensively in the Pelagos, and that has finally materialised as RLX titanium in the Deep Sea Challenge.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we might see titanium making its way into the Explorer, Submariner, or Daytona for the anniversary, creating something with a unique colourway, maybe like how platinum always is paired with ice blue. They might find a colourway that pairs with titanium to make some unique models for the anniversary and start to bring in more of that titanium-y lightweightness into the mix.
Yeah, that's really interesting because that sort of ties in with one of the things I'd really like to see from Rolex going forward. They're considered to be a tool watch, aren't they? They're not glamorous jewellery kind of brand, are they? They make instrument watches for professionals, right? But everything about their lineup is really polished and bright and high gloss. And I think Tudor is leaning into that tool watch aesthetic a lot more earnestly, especially lately when we've had last year the Tudor Pelagos FXD for the Marine Nationale. We've had the Black Bay Pro, the Ranger again, which is a very small, understated field watch type thing, and nothing glamorous about that at all. So I wonder if maybe, like you say, maybe with the use of titanium, Rolex might try and bridge that gap and make something that's a bit more down to earth. And I think the Explorer 2 is the perfect candidate for that. It's already not as polished as the others. You've got that steel bezel with the brushed finishing on it. It's all steel. So I think they could normalise that a bit further, bring it a bit more down to earth, bead blasted matte titanium case, and maybe a fabric strap. And what about what IWC did last year, where they had those ceramic coloured pilot's watch? You had the woodland, the lake, the desert. You could do something like that with the Explorer 2, and that would be really, really fun and rugged, like a cool field watch. That's what I'd like to see. Don't think it'll happen, but there you go.
Well, yeah, I will interject on your use of the word fun. Rolex isn't about fun, Tom.
Yeah.
There won't be fun versions of it. I would very much like to see an Explorer that feels like a modern interpretation of a rugged watch for explorers. That would be awesome. But personally, I think they might investigate going in the complete other direction, because we have been seeing an influx of yellow gold. We've been hovering around this 1970s Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, Patek Philippe Nautilus vibe for a while now, and so it makes perfect sense that we'll start to move into the 80s vibe. We saw with the Vacheron 222 all in yellow gold. We saw recently the Cartier Tank Francais, the only precious metal they were offering on that was yellow gold. And we've also seen in the past that Rolex has made a bimetal with yellow gold and steel, Sea Dweller and Explorer 1. So I think more likely what you want and what I want isn't going to happen, but what we're going to see is a bimetal yellow gold and steel Explorer 2.
Yeah.
That's what I wonder. Maybe even an extension into full yellow gold for the Sea Dweller and the Explorer, where we've not seen that before.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a possibility.
One throwback that I think Rolex might do when it comes to gold, and especially brushed gold, is, well, look at this, the Cellini collection at the moment. It's a bit of it's a one watch collection now. They got rid of a whole bunch of stuff and it's sort of sitting there. That I think is going to have a bit of a rejuvenation in this whole revitalization of the 80s trend. I wonder if we might see something a little bit King Midasy. Maybe not this year, but maybe over the next few years. What do you think?
The what?
Elvis's watch.
Of course. He's still alive, Is he still wearing it?
Where he's gone, they don't need watches anymore.
Oh, wow. That's a far cry from what you would expect from Rolex. When you look at the Rolex lineup, it's like that case shape. It's almost boring because it's so familiar. That's the key identifier, isn't it? I think that's too risky for them, isn't it? To move too far away from that.
Maybe immediately, but they tried to rejuvenate the Cellini. They had the Cellini Prince, which was that rectangular thing. It even had a sapphire case back.
Yeah.
And then they have booted that to create a lineup that brings back in some of those design elements that make a Rolex watch. So like that very skinny version of the fluted bezel, that oyster case, a crown that looks a bit more like a sports Rolex crown, to create this. But they had a few different variations, and now they only have the moon phase, so there must be something due to happen with it.
I still think this Cellini is a little bit of an odd one out. It does have those Rolex design cues, but it still feels on the wrong side of different for me. What I would like to see from Rolex is to see them tidy up this Cellini a bit, or maybe add another one. I like the moon phase, but I don't like the pointer date. I think it makes that dial too busy. For a dress watch, there's just way too much stuff going on the dial. And the flutedness doesn't read like the Rolex fluted bezel that you would expect to see on a Datejust or a Yachtmaster. It looks more like a sort of coin edge kind of fluting, which is a bit weird. I think they can clean all that up, make it a bit more elegant, a bit more dressy, And yeah, that would be a good addition to the Cellini.
Be interesting to see, because it seems to me they've explored both angles of that, but the new opportunity is this 80s trend that's coming back with yellow gold. So I suppose we'll wait and see. Will they try something risky, or will they get scared and hide behind the couch? Some housekeeping items, Tom. You might remember that the Submariner was upsized in its case to 41mm a few years back now.
Oh, mate.
GMT and other sports watches still at 40mm. What do you think? Seeing those go up to 41 as well?
Oh, God. I couldn't. That would be one hell of a revelation, wouldn't it? God. 40mm to 41. If I see that, whew, yeah, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing.
It is at this point I realise we're discussing a single millimetre.
Yeah.
All right, how about this then? Milgauss. There's been no movement on the Milgauss for a long time. It's either going to get a big update or it's going to get a boot.
Yeah.
Which do you think?
It's the same thing with the Cellini a bit, isn't it? It's almost on the peripheries, just orbiting around Rolex's core selection, not really doing much.
What I want to say is I want to see the Milgauss collection really rejuvenated, so I can say everything's coming up Milgauss.
Yeah, that'd be good.
We'll see. I'll park that.
Yeah.
Tom, I've got a couple of other far-reaching wants as well. One of them strays down into Tudor a little bit. It's what I wanted last year, and I still want it. A Tudor Black Bay Chrono 58 at 39mm, manually wound to make it nice and thin. We have seen an influx of the Sellita SW510M, which is a chronograph manually wound, basically removing the rotor weight, so people can make vintage reinterpretations of old chronographs but not have them be real chunkers.
Yeah.
I want to see Tudor do the same. I want to see that 39mm Black Bay Chrono and not be too thick. Do what they did to the 58 that made it so great, but with the chronograph.
Yeah.
You with me?
Oh, absolutely. Any kind of reduction in size to a watch, I'll take.
Yeah. The other thing, Tom, this one might surprise you.
No.
The other thing I want to see is Rolex entering Web 3.0. I'm talking blockchain. I'm talking NFT. I'm talking metaverse.
Okay. And what would you get out of that exactly?
Immense satisfaction at the stupidity of all of it.
Have you not got stung enough by buying up all that Logan Paul, Andrew Tate, bored monkey stuff?
That's my retirement fund, Tom, you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know. Wouldn't that be the sort of thing they'd get Tudor to do first? To see if anyone understood what it was and if it was worthwhile at all?
Yeah. Up a mountain, in a car, down a tree, on the internet. Tudor.
If you like your tokens non-fungible, go to the metaverse. Born to dare. Forget about it.
Well, there you go, dear viewer and listener. Those are our predictions for Rolex this year. Let's see if any of them are anything close to something true. I would imagine, Tom, probably not.
Nah.
I imagine that we're going to be completely wowed by the addition of a flange somewhere,
we're gonna look like,
or a doodad.
Yeah.
Why don't you, dear viewer and listener, let me know your predictions down in the comments below, and I suppose we'll wait and find out.
Yeah.
And don't forget that you too will be able to see those Rolex watches for yourself in the Watches and Wonders public days, Saturday, April the 1st and Sunday, April the 2nd. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please do like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.